let's just stick our middle fingers in the face of everybody that watches our channels and not give them any transparency on it.
Turn on your mind now, tune into the feed. We're planting digital flowers from a single tiny seed. Yeah, power to the collective in the data and the soul. The hive mind's getting louder, finding voice and control.
I have DA backstage as always on Monday nights. If this is your first time in the Hive, welcome. This is a contrarian thinking live stream where we are not afraid to think past the headlines or question the narrative. So if you are easily rattled or offended on behalf of others, this is not going to be the stream for you. However, if you can easily see through the mainstream BS and you like to look into things, you are amongst friends. You have found your people, and welcome to the Hive. If you have not hit that subscribe button, please go ahead and do that. Swipe down on the chat, press the like, press subscribe. That's the best way to support the channel. Let's move on to the Discord question of the day, and I think this is going to set the tone. I was kind of talking to you about this backstage. This comes from Perpetual, and they said, is there a reason you're not covering the assassination? 48 hours before he called out a group of people to Shapiro. Did they have something to do with it? Is it too controversial for your Hive? Well, I will say this as bluntly as I can. I don't believe that there's anything that is too controversial for the Hive. Initially off the jump, I was a little bit concerned on how would I be able to talk about it or show it with all the goriness and kind of the YouTube moderation of blood and guns and shit like that. But I'm really not too worried about it. I feel like in the Hive, if I had to make the analogy, it's like, well, there's a lot of people that are saying with Idaho 4, stop victim blaming, stop victim shaming. I feel like I apply that same mentality to the Charlie Kirk. If you liked him or if you didn't like him, at the end of the day, if he's on your team and you're like, this is bullshit, or if he's not on your team and it's like, he didn't do shit anyways, that's not what the Hive is for to discuss. It's rather to talk about, are we being told the official story? Is it tied to something deeper? Are we all being manipulated and walked into a trap for some sort of whatever? I mean, that's what I'm passionate about. As I've always said this, I'm passionate about what I call narrative warfare. What happened to Charlie Kirk outside of the obvious, but like what really happened?
Birdie, man, I have a hard time with this because every single time something like this happens, if I say I'm not sure that shot came from straight on, it could have come from a side angle on that shot because that's what it looks like to me. All of a sudden it's like, dude, is there ever a fucking story you ever hear that you don't think there's a conspiracy going on? And I'm like, if there's ever somebody who's at the center of a conspiracy, it's this guy. Like, so it's hard because I mean, there's lots of questions I have about actions that people took around there, angles, when you slow things down and you see, the shirt move and stuff like that, you have to wonder what happened there. And I don't want to get super graphic, but did the bullet ricochet off of a clavicle bone or did it ricochet off of a bulletproof? Some people said he had a bulletproof vest on, but anyways, I have been breaking down the videos and I'm like, shit, is everything in the world a conspiracy? Because can it not just be as straightforward as they say? But I don't know that it will be in this one.
So a lot of people right away, they're like, there is no way that an amateur makes that shot. I have two things to say about that. So although I'm not a big hunter, I've shot a lot of guns, and with my dad growing up, we'd go to the range a lot. We didn't hunt because I would play football, and during deer hunting season in the Midwest, we were still playing. But we'd go to the range, and what I've learned is that if you get a scope dialed in and you're just relaxed and you're shooting a 200-yard shot, there are kids that can take it, make that shot after a couple hours. What makes it a pro-level hit, in my opinion, is the nerves.
Yeah,
is that you got one chance at this.
Yeah,
it's where he was hit.
Yeah,
which is that an exit wound or an entry wound? I do have a question on that. In my mind, it is possible that somebody who is a novice or above amateur could have taken that shot.
You bring up a good point that's worth talking about if we can for a second, which is the range and the nerves, because originally I was told it was a 250-yard shot, and I made a comment in my video that was a relatively long shot, and someone was like, that's not a long shot, that's typical like hunting range kind of thing.
Right.
Then I heard it was 150 yards. I'm like, well, there's a big difference between 250 and 150 yards. But again, the element that people aren't necessarily factoring in is I'm just guessing, but if you've never killed another human being before, it's different than shooting an animal, right? So there's most of us would have a pause or a little bit reluctance about shooting a human being, and there just seemed to be, the perfect shot. It was just like, I don't know. I mean, again, you can train for these things. If you're detached from it and you're just viewing it as a target, not as a human being, then maybe you still make that shot. But there's a lot of questions.
What I'm trying to say is that it is nowhere near like only a pro is going to be able to do it. I mean,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And also the type of round. If you don't understand, like, it was it a 2.23? Was it a I think they said it was a 30-06, right? So the wind and the trajectory in that sort of distance. I mean, maybe it affects a 2.23 or a 5.56, but a 30-06, it doesn't drop in the wind nearly as much if you're using a hunting rifle, right? There's a difference in the ballistics of it. And I'm not trying to sound like a gun expert. It's just I grew up. My dad sold guns, and I do know a thing or two about shooting.
In a way, it wasn't a perfect shot if you think about it, because if the shooter was probably going, I mean, I hate to be blunt, right? But the shooter was probably going for a headshot. Well, he didn't really hit the head. Neither did he hit the chest, which would be like the biggest target to hit. It was like in the neck area, whatever. So was that a sign of not a perfect shot? It was close, and it was, because again, it's close range. But would you have shot that particular area on purpose, or is that just a little lower than they were shooting for, or a little higher than they were shooting for?
Is that an entry or an exit wound? Now, again, I'm thinking out loud. That bullet, more times than not, is probably not going to hit somebody in a rather fleshy area like that and not continue to pass through. So I've wondered, it's like, so you got hit here, the blood comes out. Where's the bullet hole in the tent? Where's the blood on the tent? Do you know what I'm saying? Versus if it came from the side and then it came out, and then I don't know. I've not been around a lot of gunshot wounds. It's just something that I have wondered.
It looked like it struck him in the collarbone area, and the bullet ricocheted and exited out the neck. I mean, again, this is graphic stuff to talk about, but when you talk about was that an exit or an entrance wound, it seemed to be I hate to say it because it's so graphic, but the pouring of blood out the side of the neck seemed to be the exit wound to me. So it looked like it struck him on the other side and then ricocheted up and out through the neck is what it looked like to me. But and again, it's gruesome, so I didn't want to have to watch it over and over and over again. But I watched it enough times that I'm like, it looks like it struck on the opposite side and then exited out the neck when I looked at it. But then I started to factor in the question about, which way his head goes when he gets hit, and where in the recoil of the body, and it just gets a little bit morbid to talk about. But you're gonna have to, because again, to find out where the shot came from, all those things have to be factored in.
I'd like to get into the mainstream narrative right now.
Yeah. Yes.
Is there anybody in the Hive, and I'd like to get your thoughts, DA, and as they answer, you please answer this. Hive, type a 1 if you believe the mainstream narrative surrounding Charlie Kirk as we are here today, and what the FBI and the Utah LE has put out in regards to the suspected shooter. And DA, if you want to go ahead and,
I'm not 100% positive that the media has glommed onto the official answer yet, but I mean, I right away I said this is going to be posed as the narrative of a leftist shooting a conservative, but then it quickly shifted to there's indications that somebody who was conservative thought Charlie wasn't conservative enough, which I think is a weird. The weirder of the motives is he's not conservative enough, so I'm going to shoot him.
Do not insult our intelligence, no matter what side you're on. Like, don't try to tell us that somebody shot Charlie Kirk because he wasn't conservative enough. For God's sakes,
right? Everyone's
going to be like, "What the hell?" I think he was about as conservative as it gets, right? I would say, like, with Christian values, things like that. But they didn't just run with, it's somebody on the opposite side that doesn't agree with him. They said, no, it's actually somebody on his own side that wants him to be more conservative. So he killed him. Yeah. Give me a break. We're not that.
That doesn't make sense. Right. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. Having studied conspiracy theories for my whole life, it's easier to manipulate 20-year-old males. So it's easy for somebody to shape a 20-something-year-old mind and radicalize them. Even in Muslim countries, that it's 20-year-old males that are radicalized. The 20-year-old male is an easy person to radicalize and use as your trigger to get done with what you want. So at the end of the day, both things can be true. It can be this kid who was manipulated and radicalized by somebody who wanted Charlie dead. And so he got himself in and buddied up with somebody and radicalized a young guy that'll pull it off. And they just become an extension of your plan, you know?
I think at the end of the day is, in addition to me saying, don't insult our intelligence, which they do on a daily basis with any story. Right.
Yeah.
Let's also hold ourselves accountable. What would the motive be for the news to insult our intelligence? And it's, in my opinion, quite frankly, very simple, written on their foreheads. They want us divided, Hive. They want us divided. At the end of the day, they want chaos. They want all this, it was your fault. No, it's your fault. Oh, he deserved it. No, he didn't deserve it. Look at us. And we fall into the trap as a country every damn time. I'm getting sick of that. And I've used that quote of, we have systems in place that will function as long as we do not have a corrupt media that is controlling how we function with their narrative. Right. And so I do think there is aspects of an inside job here. I 100% do. I think that some of the hand signals in the back, I also think that there's just very simple questions about what transpired after he got hit that kind of make you go, Can I just ask the question? I've been waiting all night to ask this to you. Did we just watch a false flag?
Right.
Did we?
That's what it feels like to I'm telling you, that's what it feels like to me. It's what it feels like to me. I think
it has to be asked at this point.
Yeah. It's what it feels. I feel, and maybe it's because of how long I was in Epstein, I feel like the things that he was saying, the things that were happening in the Epstein files, with that's very, very likely involved in this. Whatever the case may be, here's the thing: whether you liked the guy or not, Charlie Kirk was a force to be reckoned with in the MAGA circles. He was making a lot of waves. He was getting a lot of people behind him, and that man was a threat. If he decided to talk about anything he wanted to talk about that was a danger to the quote unquote elites. And I think that's where you need to look, is who wanted Charlie dead. Make a list. I know it's a long list because a lot of people wanted Charlie Kirk dead, to be frank, but I would put at the bottom of the list.
Pull it off.
So, yeah, who could pull it off? Who wanted him dead? And I would say follow the money. That's another one of those things, follow the money. But we're just getting started. Like you said, this is going to be enormous. But
let me say this, because you just brought up a good point. You had said there's a lot of people that want him dead. Can we also address the fact that if it was a professional hit, let's say there was some foreign intelligence or rogue intelligence aspect, would you agree or disagree with what I say here? They didn't take him out because he's out there talking to youth about Christian and conservative values. Now, you could say the influence maybe, but I think if it was somebody with some sort of intelligence ties, rogue or foreign, or rogue at home or foreign, I believe that it had to do with who he was connected to and what he knew, and they knew that he had the platform to expose it if he chose to.
Yeah.
Not if he just would have stayed status quo with what he was doing. I think they knew he knew something.
And this is going to be a harder concept to explain, but I was talking to another person about this, and here's the principle, whether you believe it or not. And this is what I feel. If it was a hit, like some kind of assassination for political reasons, if it was a hit, those kind of things often don't happen just for one reason. In other words, it happens when it makes sense for several agendas at one time. So if you want to simultaneously start an argument about something and keep people divided, and you want to be able to get gun control passed because there's that whole argument, and you're able to shut his mouth on a particular topic, when you line up 4 or 5 different interests and it starts to make sense, like, dude, it makes sense. This guy needs to die, and we can use it to control this narrative, and shut his mouth on this. That's when those assassinations happens. And that's why it gets complex, because it's not just one thing. It's often many things that contributed to it happening.
Well, I think we have to address another giant rumor too with the foreign intelligence. Like a lot of people are saying this is Israel. This is Israel and the donors, and he recently spoke out about it. And guys, let's just all be adults here. There is a lot of talk about it, and I don't even think that it's anti-Semitic necessarily. I think that it's just like a pattern people are starting to recognize. I think that there's a reason a lot of world leaders are afraid to speak out about Israel. I think that they do have deep pockets. They do have strong ties. They are connected. They're very well connected. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into the power they have outside of politics, right? But
yeah,
is it a coincidence? This was slightly foreshadowed now after the fact. You can go back and look at Shapiro's show. You can go back and look at some tweets from people that are close to Charlie that saying, hey, he's got a feeling things are going awry. And now whether that's again, we go way down this damn rabbit hole and put my tinfoil hat on. I'd put my tinfoil body armor suit on to go. This conspiracy would allow me to do that probably for the first time ever. We could go way deep. But I mean, I know you used to study religion, correct? Like, what is your thoughts on the political temperature of Israel and this situation?
Well, I mean, because again, they've got me terrified. The media, YouTube, they got you terrified because if you start anytime you start talking about Israel, it related to a conspiracy, then somebody will jump in and say that's hate speech because they can't get their mind to stop going off of this narrative, and it's a way to shut it down. So yeah, I have feelings about Israel and what Charlie's platform meant in that regards. And again, it relates back to Epstein and who, look, Ghislaine Maxwell, who was with Epstein, her dad was in Israeli intelligence. There was a long argument that Epstein and Ghislaine were running a honeypot to basically lure political figures into the house, provide them young girls, get it on videotape, and then compromise them and use that to get clout and control over the U.S. government. And whether they did that on behalf of the Israeli government or with the Israeli government, whatever, those kind of rumors have been in the wind for forever. And so how do you ignore that? And yet, if you say Israel, all of a sudden, hate speech, shut it down. We're not gonna do that here. And it's like, what a great situation you've created, and we can't even talk about it without being called conspiracy theorist, hate speech, all that shit.
Bro, how weird is it that Donald Trump and Netanyahu tweeted down to the fucking second, damn near, about Charlie Kirk's death at the same time?
Right?
And why is foreign media breaking the news initially?
How weird is it? Yes, it was scheduled ahead of time, the meeting, but how weird is it that they voted to not release the Epstein's files within an hour or so of Kirk being shot? Now, yeah, they had that meeting scheduled, but they were like, nope, we're not going to release that information. How interesting on that timing as well. So there's a lot of weird shit that happened right around this. But
are the rumors true that Netanyahu tried to fund TPUSA and Charlie Kirk denied it? Right? I mean,
yeah, right.
That's a factual question. That's a factual question.
At this point, you have to look into all those things, and we should look into all those things, and we should ask those questions, because you know who's not going to ask those questions? Mainstream media. You know what mainstream media is going to focus on? Some
who radicalized
20-year-old. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, come on, guys.
The government owns mainstream media. They're going to tell the narrative the government wants them to do, and they're going to stay away from anything that gets anywhere close to what they want you to look at.
It's like, here's how I feel about talking about, and this is not just going to be, hey, everything in this case is Israel. This stream's not going to turn into like, it's all the Jews. Like, I'm not going to say that, right? Because again, but I do think it's an important topic that if it's relevant, meaning the Netanyahu with the Trump tweeting at the same time, Netanyahu rumors funding TPUSA, you look at a mainstream narrative, and we all know a lot of people from Israel or their ex-Mossad, they sit on these giant news networks with tight narrative control. I just wonder, how do you not ask the question with somebody like Charlie Kirk if changing his stance on Israel causes?
You have to.
How do you have to? It's not. Yeah.
You would be intellectually dishonest to not ask the question. Whether or not it turns out to be true, you would be intellectually dishonest to not talk about it. I have to, by the way, if I can, Birdie, I have to say, I shout out to Everything Me on my channel. He just gifted 50 memberships to people on my side, and everybody in there. My whole screen's blowing up with everybody who got a gift membership on my side. So thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Top dog.
The day after Charlie Kirk got assassinated, I had a meeting for one of my other businesses, and kind of backstage before the official meeting started, everyone's talking about it. And I go, who do you guys think did it? Like, do you think there's any sort of like foreign intelligence thing? And like, they know that I'm kind of the conspiracy theorist, but around these guys, usually it's different. Like, I get on here and I talk to you all like you're my close buddies.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? And I go, I don't know. There might be something with like Israel. I think Charlie Kirk like changed his stance. Dog, they looked at me like I had a giant nutsack on my forehead. They were like, what is this guy talking about? One of the guys actually goes, well, no, it would be Russia, if anybody. And I'm like, oh my God. Or it'd be China. Why would it be them? And I started thinking to myself, like, see, this is the craziest part though. I didn't try to change his mind or anything. I'm just like, oh yeah, who knows? I mean, I'm just saying, you know, there's some weird things with it, but it is weird how the normies, and these people are very smart people from a business standpoint. But if you think about it, they're smart in the lane that they know. Yeah. Anything outside of that lane, it's like, whoop, see ya. Don't care. Why would it be Israel? That sounds like the craziest shit ever.
Right. right. We have our marching orders. We know what it's about. These are the areas you're allowed to go down, and here's the areas you're not allowed to go down.
Right. And it's just like the classic, like it's always the Russians. It's always Putin. And I've said this before, hate them or love them. One of my, I guess the most powerful quotes that I've ever heard Donald Trump say in an interview was somebody said, yeah, you're supporting a murderer with Putin. And Donald Trump had said, well, do you think we're so innocent? And that was just a powerful thing. I'm like, damn.
Right.
It could have been anybody that said that. I would have been like, God damn, dude. Like the reporter didn't even know what to say either. He was just kind of like, whoa. And it's true.
Right.
Like we're not that innocent as a country at all.
No.
And
no. And that's, I mean, I don't want to, you know, there's a phrase that I grew up with, which is love your country, fear your government. And here, let me say this, like, not anti-American stance, but we don't do things in general as a government for altruistic reasons. We don't do shit just because it's the right thing to do. We do things because it makes financial sense and it gives us power and it gives us sway. If we do anything in the Middle East, it's because it gives us control over the Middle East. If we do, so again, at the end of the day, people who are not paying attention will be like, oh, you know, we do all these great things. We don't do jack or shit if it doesn't benefit us some way, power or money ways. But that's the world that I live in, at least. But
here, I'll share with you my first theory. This is like within 20 minutes of watching the video. Okay, this is like the theory that I told Mrs. Birdie. This is the theory that I was telling my business partner. And I said, dude, you got to look at whoever asked that question. To ask it about, I think it was like trans and gun violence, right? And then for him to set the mic down and boom, it happens. That was that was very surface level of like, that seemed coordinated. And then you got that old man, George Zinn, yelling, I'm the shooter, almost like a distraction. So it went like question, shot, distraction.
Yes.
That was my initial theory of like,
and why,
whoa.
And why does somebody do that? Like, did Zinn yell out that he was the shooter? Did he do that?
I don't know if it was him. There was an old guy that was yelling.
Because and if it's that guy that they had bent over with the glasses, if somebody does that again, usually that's to distract everybody so that they look in the wrong way so that the shooter can get away. And again, I felt the same way when I saw the shooting. I immediately was like, that was an assassination. Like there was no, that I knew immediately in my gut, like that was not just some random person in the audience. That was a flat out assassination.
I'm not laughing, but I have to laugh at this. I was watching that, you know, I did have the mainstream on in the background as I'm scrolling my phone because I am curious. Like I did hear one person on Fox say it was 75 yards and then he quickly corrected himself to 200 yards. And I'm like, whoa.
Right.
Not like Not like, oh, it was 175 yards. No, just do it. No, he said 75 yards. I mean, 200 yards. Like, that's a weird mess up.
Right.
Okay. Then
right.
I heard another anchor say, well, what if it was one of his supporters shooting his gun in celebration? And I'm like, who are these people?
Right.
Like, who gave that guy a microphone? So I don't know, man. But so I have a couple questions that I'd like to ask the Hive that I have kind of prepared. And do you guys believe, type a 1 in the chat for yes, 2, no. And DA, you answer these as it's coming in. So 1 for yes, 2 for no. I'm going to ask you guys 3 questions. We'll dive into each one. Do you guys believe that the shot came from the building they're telling us it came from?
Fuck. I don't think
start off right away and jump into that rabbit hole.
I know. Because, again, the angle doesn't, I mean, I'd have to go look at that a million times, but the angle doesn't look right to me. It doesn't look like it came from straight on.
Okay. Second question. Do you guys believe that there's an absurd amount of odd coincidences that are numeric or numerology in regards to Freemasons, such as the 47, 47, 47, 11 plus 11 plus 11 is 33. Freedom is 33. There's a lot of weird Freemason numerology in this. 1 for yes, 2 for no.
Yes, but yes. So yes, so nothing for a lot of people jumping on the Freemason thing or numerology makes you look a little bit of a nutbag. So again, if you are going to pull off a shooting, follow the logic, you purposely leave numerology around because you know those tinfoil hat types will jump all over the numerology and discredit themselves because it won't have anything to do with it. But one could argue they laid the numerology in place so that you'll jump all over it, so they can go, there's those damn tinfoil hats again. This had nothing to do with anything, so it's so complex.
And it's exactly what I did. I think it's exactly what a lot of people in here probably did. We're like, right. Jesus Christ, they're putting it in our face. They do this every time. I mean, it's just like, so, I mean, those were like my big 3 questions that I had. And I have a couple of other ones. I mean, like, why would the shooter disassemble the gun just to reassemble the gun, wrap it in a towel, and then leave it in the woods? And
yes.
and citing a scope if you're not a professional shooter. And you understand, if you drop a gun with a mounted scope on it, I mean, you could knock the scope and change it by,
oh yeah, even if, just a little bit. Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you think about the gun? Is that even the right gun? I mean, like,
it didn't make it. Yeah. So I have to say my spidey senses went off with okay, so he plans all this and does a getaway and then just leave. And why would you wrap the gun? Like, my mind can't even get the sentence out. Why would you wrap the gun in a towel and then leave it out in the open? It just, like, none of that made sense to me. I was like, that's flat out planted gun. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Everybody's going to be conspiracy theorist DA. But I'm like, again, my spidey sense tells me those details don't make a lot of sense. And so now we have to look into all those things. You have to look into all those things because those are clues that it doesn't make sense.
Dude, and then let's also talk about this. Within 48 hours, Charlie King is in or did I just say Charlie King? Charlie Kirk.
You did.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk is in a casket. His wife is recording it in his hands. She's got a giant G ring on. I mean, that is so quick. So where are the autopsy? What about the hospital? When did the hospital pronounce it? Who pronounced it at the hospital? Like, how do they not have an ambulance on scene at a college campus at an event with 3,000 people, only 6 officers and some plainclothes officers, and then 2 or 3 members on Charlie Kirk's security detail? Yeah. This is screaming, we are going to drive JFK right through the middle of Dallas, Texas at this turn where we slow down. The cops on the motorcycles drop back a little bit, and he's in an open limo. That's what this almost felt like.
Right. And you know what's funny about that? It's funny that you mentioned that because someone had said to me, DA, if it was a political assassination, they wouldn't do it on a college campus in front of a whole bunch of people. And I'm like, you mean so they wouldn't kill Kennedy in front of everyone? And there was so many people there. Wait a minute. That's right. There's still people in America who don't believe that Kennedy was assassinated by anybody but just a nutbag in the freaking, library. But anyways,
not to derail us. Hive, this is a question because I think this is an important. I think this is an important aspect that DA just said. There are people in this country who still believe that JFK was taken out by the lone wolf narrative.
But on the JFK thing, it seemed like they came out, and when Trump ordered some of those declassified documents to Trump, one of the first things I remember an official saying was, hey, we haven't released everything yet, but we can confirm it wasn't a lone gunman kind of thing. And I'm like, there. So if you did admit it wasn't a lone gunman, you've lied to America for 50 years and covered this shit up and made us feel like we're dumbasses for even believing it. And now you're like, you know what? You're right. It wasn't a lone gunman. I'm like, fuck you. Yeah. Like, apparently, if you let enough time go by, you can just lie to people and say, oh yeah, we lied to you for 50 years. But
it bothers me because look at, okay, here, I'm going to try to sum this up. What you just said, DA. They've lied to us for 50 years. If the truth is not out there, and there's only people like us looking into it, but the masses believe it. It could be the moon landing. It could be JFK. It could be 9/11. It could be Gulf of Tonkin. It could be this, whatever it is. What really pisses me off to my core is that when it's not the truth, think of everything else in the background. If they would lie about this, and it's right there in your face, what else are they lying about? And people can't wrap their head around it. What are they lying about with medicine and pharma and insurance and food? And like, you know, guys, there's so much stuff that's like, they'll put this in your face and give you the finger and laugh as they walk away. Just like, you guys are they're never going to believe you. I can't stand that. I can't stand it.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, and I swear to God, like there's a certain percentage of the population that no matter how many times the government gets caught telling you or admitting that they lied to you about something major, they still like, no,
you're gonna pass.
So that was then. That's usually the case. Well, that was a long time ago. We haven't done that kind of shit for a long time. Like, really? Of course they wait 50 years before telling you they lied about certain things, because at that time half the people that matter died, and now they're just like, hey, by the way, another generation, you don't really care. This is, but it affected a lot of people.
The thing that is encouraging though is, like, I don't know, are you on X?
Yeah.
Okay. So I will say X does seem to be the platform that most, quote, like news conspiracies or like obvious contradictions get called out on first.
Yeah.
It seems like it goes like X and then TikTok.
Yeah. X is where I first saw the assassination videos, because if you turn off the filtering there, you can see everything.
How quick? I mean, dude, it had to have been within 30 minutes. It was flooded with, there is no way that what they said happened. I mean, it was like immediate. So yeah, there is a silver lining to people like you and me. If this was to be multiplied to the masses and everybody in the hive is doing the same thing, there is a certain point. It's just, how do you get through to the people that aren't on those platforms? They don't follow that. Their algorithm's not showing it. I mean, yeah. What has to change? What would have to change for the news to not be able to lie? And this is extreme. This is extreme. But it's like, okay, fine. I'm going to go there. Like in the Nuremberg trials, the journalists and the media were a part of those trials that were also killed and executed. There was a number of journalists, whether or not. Yeah. Not that I'm going to say we need to kill the people that are anchors.
Yeah, right.
Of course not. But what I'm trying to say is, what would prevent? Is it the Smith-Mundt Act? Does that need to be repealed? Is it about time we start talking about that shit? Shouldn't it be illegal to use propaganda on American people? That you want to talk about the world's biggest psyop? For God's sakes, I swear to God, if this Charlie Kirk thing was a psyop to repeal the Smith-Mundt Act, and they go, see, this is what we are allowed to do because this act is in place, which, dude, realistically, that does allow them to do shit like this. If that was repealed, they couldn't do that.
We should be talking about that. We should be talking about essentially the documents that allow our government and our media to propagandize the citizenry and lie to us about shit. And they're allowed to do it. It's in writing. And so we should be talking about that shit. And you're right. And so the question, I guess the rhetorical question of what has to be done is, people like you and I, in my opinion, not to put us on a pedestal, need to be one of many, many voices that are calling that shit out. Look, Here's the documents that tell you. They will lie to you. The government will lie to you. The media will lie to you. They're allowed to propagandize and sway public opinion with lies. And if you don't think that was written in writing for a reason, and they're not doing it, come on, wake up.
Well, and then you have to look on the opposite side of it. Or are they going to use this to continue to push scraping the internet for certain rhetoric? Is this going to fall right into the same type of, that dude on Fox News the day after the Minnesota shooting saying, I wish my program would have been up and running, scraping everyone's data. We could have prevented that. Are they going to use it in that light? Because I could totally see that happening too.
Yes.
So,
right. I mean, yes. God, there's just so many. Yes, you can use these things. If we had a mass surveillance state where we had surveillance on everybody at all times, maybe we could have prevented this from happening. How many people are going to jump on this for their agenda to get what they want passed? I know I sound like a nutbag because there's a million. Again, these events always have more than one agenda, more than one thing going on.
And for anybody that doesn't know what the Smith-Mundt Act is, it was originally passed in 1948, and it was meant to prohibit the U.S. government from broadcasting propaganda to its own citizens. So it was illegal for your government to propagandize you. That
got repealed.
Yep, that changed in 2012 under the Obama administration when it was, quote, modernized under the National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA. And isn't that funny? They always make it sound like this is an act that's going to protect you.
Yes.
It's the National Defense Authorization Act. America,
everybody likes defense.
Propagandize you. Yeah. But what that did, the big thing that did is it removed that ban on domestic propaganda. So it made it legal for the United States government to create fake news, fake footage, fake narratives, and broadcast them directly to you. I'm going to read that again. By modernizing the Smith-Mundt Act in 2012, what the Obama administration did was make it legal for the U.S. government to create fake news, fake footage, fake narratives, and broadcast them directly to you. That is terrifying.
It should be terrifying. It should be absolutely terrifying.
And if you don't think that Hollywood and all those movies with those special effects and the CGI, they can't do that shit in some set and then broadcast it with a little MSNBC, CNN, Fox News logo in the bottom left corner instead of having Paramount Pictures or whatever it is, they could do that.
It would be even easy for them to silence people who are their detractors. So you got your mainstream media that's allowed to lie to the American public and even create fake footage to make them believe something happened that didn't happen, so that the American people will go, rah, we got to go to war about whoever we want to because they just did something that I saw on TV, so it has to be true. And then if somebody like you and I calls it out, how long before they start shutting us down and finding so that you can't talk about it?
Dude, what if Charlie Kirk's death is literally just a Smith-Mundt operation?
Right?
It'd be legal. It'd be
right.
legal.
It would be legal. It would be illegal. Yeah.
No. It would be legal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right. I thought you were saying illegal. No, it would be legal.
Yeah.
And because again, it doesn't have to just be journalism, right? You could have a state-sponsored narrative construction.
Everybody should know this. It would be easy. This is what I mean. Everybody should know this. It would be easy for the president to have died in office in a heart attack or assassination, and then still put him on TV doing press conferences and stuff like that, and you would not know. The AI is so good, you could see a president who already is long gone still running the country by AI, and most people would never be able to detect that guy's not even around anymore. They're just putting fake footage out there with new speeches they're writing and a figurehead doing AI talking to you, and everyone's like, "Oh, I know he's alive. I just saw him yesterday on TV." Well, maybe he's been dead for 3 weeks, and you don't know because AI is so good they could fool people easily.
Dude, it's like a weaponized reality. It literally, it's like a weaponized reality. It's like, well, hang on. Why would we tell the country that the president is dead? Why not just
keep and why wouldn't you say it's even good for national security? We don't want to panic in America that the president's been killed. So let's just make sure the president's still giving speeches. We won't tell people because then they might freak out. They won't feel secure. So for national security purposes, we're just going to go ahead and do fake AI footage of the president giving speeches from the Oval Office because it would be more dangerous to America for them to realize he's been assassinated.
And you want to know what's crazy? There's some people that would say, I agree with that.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I think now is kind of a good time, DA, to move on to the tinfoil hat conspiracy of the day.
Yeah, let's do it.
And well, let's talk about it.
No, dude. No. Oh shit. What have you, dude? No.
I do think that if there's ever been a time for me to play this song of this, it's probably right now. So I'm going to go ahead and play this.
Please retrieve your nearest tinfoil hat. Place hat firmly on your head.
Did Israel have some involvement or role in Kirk's death? And these are obviously not verified. But I do think that they are important to at least share. Why are some people saying this, and ask the question? And some people are claiming that Israel or its intelligence services ordered or carried out the assassination of Charlie Kirk. One version suggests that Kirk had recently been critical of Israel in certain respects, or that he had knowledge of controversial Epstein-related files that made him a target. There's also a claim that Kirk had publicly warned that if he, quote, turned against Israel, the country would kill him. You know, Netanyahu did offer him some money for TPUSA. He formally rejected them. I don't know. But anyways, I hope everybody has a great night. Thank you for tuning in. This was a great live, super encouraging. And Dia, I will see you next Monday. Have a good night, everybody.
Later.
Cheers.
Right.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.